Hello guys, welcome to another trade breakdown video. Today I'll be breaking down the trade that I took on Thursday, 5th of September 2024. As you can see right around there, I'm showing it to you guys, right? So on the daily time frame, this was a supply demand. I don't mention it anymore because you guys know it by now if you are following my strategy, following myself. So on Thursday there was ADP non-farm employment, unemployment claims, ISM services PMI. So there is no way we are trading New York session. So on Thursday, if we are trading, we will trade London because there is no news on London session. So my daily bias was clearly bullish. The weekly bias was bearish. The weekly bias was clearly bearish, but according to how this daily candle closed, we trade with the daily bias. So obviously the bias was bullish on GBP USD. Not one of the cleanest, not one of the clearest bias, but when I went to DXY to confirm my bias, that is when my bias became more confirmed, and I became more confident in looking for sells on DXY, which will be buys on GBP USD. So that was my bias selection right around there. You can see the daily has changed character to the downside, and going on Thursday I am looking for buys. That is when I go to the lower time frames like H4. On the H4 we can see the market literally change character to the upside right around here. I have not marked the change of character, but I can see it due to experience. And on the hourly we can clearly see this was the low that caused this higher high. So this is the demand zone that I was marking or looking to trade from on H1, right? This was the demand zone that I would look for a potential trade from. So that is when I wait for the Asian range to close. My bias is clearly bullish, so that is when I look for a Asian range to close. That is when I go to the lower time frames to see for some potential demand zones before the H1 demand. Because why? Because the H1 demand is so far away, right? So it didn't make sense for me to go all the way down there, to go all the way down to the demand and then go up again, right? So that is when, and also the previous day volume was very high on DXY, so according to that we have to adapt. Also our M15 demand here, I marked this M15 demand right around here because of the volume of the previous day, which is totally fine. I do that, right? But in this case, this demand zone was already mitigated here on Wednesday when the market was closing. It was already mitigated, meaning whenever a demand zone is mitigated, that demand zone is not as strong anymore, like we saw in this trade example right around here. And this trade was a MAC model, as you can see. Beautiful trading opportunity right here. Got an entry at London session, literally swept the Asian low. First it went, swept the Asian high, swept the Asian low, and then gave us our entry signal. Beautiful entry signal right around there. This trade I took it because the daily bias was clearly bullish. H4 change of character to bullish, H1 change of character to bullish with huge bullish momentum. Asian low liquidity sweep, M15 rejection, and SMT. The most important part of this trade, this trade is a C setup because it is not one of the highest probability setups. But if I show you DXY, on DXY the price literally swept the previous day low, which is a signal to us that if DXY has swept the previous day low and the bias, higher time frame bias is bearish, obviously always use your SMTs or anything you are using, or any concept that you're using, always it should be with the bias if you want to build an edge over it, right? So clearly it made so much sense for me to go for GU to go and take the previous day high. At this point all I needed to do was to find an entry signal to enter the markets to target the previous day high. So I did got the entry after the Asian low sweep at this 12:30 p.m. in the standard time candle. It was a very, very bullish candle here. I entered the market with a 8 pip stop loss for a 1:3 risk to reward, and the rest was history. As you can see, our last target also did got hit the previous day high. So this was a winning trade. After taking a losing trade on Wednesday, I took a winning trade on Thursday. That is why this strategy is so lovely, because you lose one day, next day you make triple, quadruple, triple of the amount you lost or the percentage you lost because of the strategy. This strategy literally works. I have seen it with my own eyes, and I am so confident in this strategy. All I need is some experience in the markets, in the live markets, and literally take the risk and yeah, do the things. I am getting closer and closer. And if I show you the front testing today, I got a beautiful buy right here, but I didn't do the trade. Why? Because my bias was bearish. I am looking for sells, right? So I am looking for sells. That is the reason I didn't do the trade right around here. And if the market comes up to my supply zone that I've marked and then give us the rejection that we want to see, That is when I will enter at the New York session. And this zone was also made on New York session, so it makes so much of sense to make a move from New York session to the downside with the higher time frame bias. I could have entered this with a 1% risk right here. Obviously this trade was not a bad trade at all, as you might be seeing here. M5 change of character, everything we want to see in a trade was here, but I followed my plan. I didn't do this trade. And also my intuition, literally I have been in the market without missing a day for nearly a year now, right? So many months without missing a day. So obviously I have learned some things about the market. I have built an intuition, a sixth sense what the market might do. So according to the 4-hour time frame, literally it made sense for me to go up, fill up this, rebalance the price, and then go up to this supply on the 4-hourly and then make the move. Literally I saw that coming, and yeah, it happened to the T. But I didn't took the trade, no problem. Next time when I see something like this, I will look up to that. And now all I need to do is, I have learned the strategy, I have learned how it works, how the strategy works. All I gotta do is build the confidence to tap that button, buy or sell, right? With proper risk management, then the rest will be history.